I went on a bike ride and I'm sitting at the lake and meditating. And I wanted to go home, shower, shave before making this video. But while meditating, I came up with an idea, and as I look right now, is perfect for this video. So right now I'm not kempt as such. I mean, I look okay, I guess, but I would actually I don't actually do makeup in my videos, but I would, you know, put my hair back, I'd shave and everything, right? I probably wouldn't be wearing a hood either. But the point of this video is to say that what you see on camera from people in 99% of cases is a done up version of themselves. There's makeup, their hair is just right as it's supposed to be. At the very least, they're relatively kempt, right? And you see that on TV and you think that that's who that person is, and it is at that moment. And then you live in your daily life, and then when you wake up, your hair is crazy, you know how you look at certain points, right? And then if you were to compare yourself to what you see on TV, you might not like it. But what you see on TV, again, is a done-up version of that person. They told me when I was in elementary school that supermodels and whatever, like, they have bad breath, they really put a lot of work into looking good for those photos, right? Now, the point I'm here to bring is to say that no matter what you look like, and we have a lot of image things in society for a lot of reasons, you know, if you're good looking, or good looking as per as the society deems it, it can help you. People will trust you more, they might think you're a better person. That may or may not be earned, but it's a natural assumption that people have. And so people therefore feel this need. It can get you places, so to say. It can get you a mate. It can get you a lot of things. And so people feel the need to feel be beautiful. And it's not out of the desire to be beautiful. It's out of fear. It's out of fear, and that's the issue. And what I'm here to say is that, first of all, a lot of beauty standards are subjective, and they're cultural, and they're as per the time. As per today's standards, in the West at least, and maybe this is universal, but I know it's in the West, if you have high cheekbones, if you have a certain type of jawline, as a male at least for the jawline, that's considered beautiful. There are various proportions and ratios that the human eye either culturally or universally or instinctually views as beautiful. But even still, those standards are subjective. You know, models in the 60s were more curvy. Now they're more thin. Across culture and across time, beauty standards change. And there may be things that are generally universally considered beautiful, maybe. But again, even still, there are more aspects of subjectivity. What's the right height? You know, is it 6 foot? Is it 5'10"? What if everybody was 5 feet tall? Maybe then 5 foot would be the ideal. What if everybody was 7? See, if we lived in a world where everybody was 10 feet tall, that's the median, then LeBron James would be very short. But given that he's taller than the average by far, he's considered tall. You see, so the point is that people change, forms change, the beauty of all those supermodels change. I watched this video about Farrah Fawcett, and I heard about her when I was a young boy. I was 16. I was at the beach. I was at Cocoa Beach, and I found out that Michael Jackson died on June 25th, 2009. And then I found out on the same, no, I think earlier in the day I heard that Farrah Fawcett died on that same day, and I didn't know who she was. And that was totally overshadowed by Michael Jackson, who died on the same day. Now, Farrah Fawcett was this model and actress from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and she died fairly young at the age of 62. But she was a great beauty, and she has this poster where she's like, hi, right? And that poster is like the best-selling poster of all time. See? Now, as far as her beauty goes now, there is none. She's dead. Whatever is within her physical body is now decomposed 11, 12 years later, right? And at the point of whether she's cremated or buried, whatever it is, like, it's not a beautiful form now. It's recycled back into the earth. And then in the time she was living, she had that period in her 20s and her 30s where she was considered very beautiful and so forth, and then that began to fade in her 40s, 50s, and then eventually after her death, of course, it's completely gone. So it's always transient too. Whatever beauty is there, whatever your experiences are, it's transient. You see? So you can't be so identified with this idea of being beautiful. Certainly that leads to overdoing makeup. It leads to altering your bodies in ways that are unsavory, but actually you actually think are good because you think it'll get more attention or whatever. And I think that people should just let their natural beauty shine. I don't mean to be a slob. I don't mean to, make people go below the pale, the norm of what's considered acceptable in terms of hygiene and appearance and so forth. But I'm trying to prevent excess. I'm not trying to prevent anything. I'm trying to alert anybody who's listening that you don't need to be excessive in these pursuits. You don't need to be overdone. You don't need to be manipulative and manicuringly controlling of your own appearance. It's a mental thing, and it can lead to a lot of issues. It can lead to eating disorders where people starve themselves and become extremely thin because they think thin is good, and thin may be good. Thin may show that you work out, you take care of yourself or whatever, but when you take it to the extent of having an eating disorder and becoming extremely thin, well, it's no longer representative of health. It's actually just a mental thing, you see, and that mental thing is based in fear. So I'd say just relax and feel, regardless of whether you're beautiful by the standards of the society you're in, or by universal standards, or by whatever it is you may look like, your image is fine enough as you are. It doesn't require that much manipulation. Besides basic hygiene and upkeep, it doesn't require all sorts of insecurity. It doesn't require all this fear. And when you stop focusing on that stuff, when you stop focusing on the superficialities, and you look more deep and look more internal, as I have, once I got over my consciousness of my looks, I said in this video, I'm actually more in the flow and more focused, and what I'm actually saying is able to radiate and come through better now. You're actually able to touch into what's actually good and what's actually proper within you, what's actually worthwhile, what actually gives beauty into the world, regardless of what you look like, what actually allows you and enables you to connect with people, what is your actual deep and true and beautiful self, irrespective of whatever you look like on the outside. Okay, I actually have some more to say. I did shower and shave, and I've got some more to say now. So basically, when you overdo your looks, and that's coming from inside your mind, right? You're overdoing it. There's a reason for it. There's always some subconscious reason that you think is important that you're doing. There's something you're trying to achieve from it. You may be trying to portray some type of image to attract a mate, or to attract other people to like you or think you're of some sort of status or whatever it may be. And from the outside looking in, given that I thought that way to some extent when I was younger, when I was more vain, and I can say what others have said to me, which I didn't really believe back in the day, but is true, which is that, well, I want to nuance it. I want to say, first of all, you may end up getting those things, and that could be to your benefit. And you may end up getting substantial things out of that, superficial things that turn into substance, superficial things that do lead to good things for you. So I want to put that out of the way. That's the reason you want to do it. And I'm not denying that. The reason I never resonated with people saying what I'm about to say is because I felt like they weren't telling me the full truth. So now that I've said that aspect of the truth, let me say this aspect of the truth, which I believe is a much more important and truer part of the truth, which is that when you overdo yourself, when you're too image focused, the type of people that you're trying to attract, you might attract or you might not. But the people who do like you, they'll like you for superficial reasons. And the reason I say that is that the people who would like you otherwise, if you came forth as your actual self, if you actually were you, they won't like you. First of all, they'll notice you're overdone. Not that they're going to have an issue with that as such, but you're not going to be operating like yourself. you're gonna be you look like a different person. There's something that's off, that's wrong, and it won't stimulate them. You see, but they would love to see you. You see, the real people who'd really be there with you, they'd love to see you. And the people who you do end up attracting are going to be people who like you for those specific characteristics and not the more internal things. And the reason for that is because they can't see the internal things, because the internal things are not showing, because all that's showing is the outside, and they're so attracted to that. So I want to give this with some nuance, though, because of course, your most deep underlying qualities are still always there. You're still you in a sense, but what you're portraying is something different. But there's still you underneath. So these people who like you for superficial reasons might like you for deeper reasons, but chances are that's not the case. Chances are, you see, but it could happen. And the people who would like you otherwise might like you also if you were that way as well. You see, because they can look past the superficiality. You see, and you can still connect with them at a deep level. But what I'd say is that the general trend and the way in the direction that you want to move is you want to move to this side, right? You want to move to where you're simply authentic, and you're actually prettier, literally, because being overdone is not pretty. See, taking anything to extreme excess, it starts to look grotesque. But you can't see that when your mind is focused on it, and there's so much fear inside you, filling you and building you in those ways. And your mind in and of its own self, it can't actually capture beauty. It can think. It can think mentally. It can lay out a list of proportions of various, colors, various textures, you see. But what it arranges, based in fear, will not be of beauty. So in your extreme attempt to be beautiful, you have killed the beauty, both externally and internally. What is beautiful, what actually happens, is when your mind is merged with your soul. And then you can know, okay, let me not look like a slob today. Let me do X, Y, and Z. But X, Y, and Z, maybe ABC. But not X, Y, Z, ABC all the way circling around to X, Y, and Z and then repeating it. You see? That's when the real beauty comes out. When your real soul is there, and then your visage, your image is there to just represent who you are, who you really are. And if the concern is about mating as well, the fact of the matter is that you will live this life as yourself, right? And if you want to attract a mate, and you're worried you might not be able to, factually speaking, this is not a guess, this is a fact. There is an extremely long history within you of thousands, if millions, if you can't even count how many people before you have successfully mated through the eons, and then each piece has given you a little shred of your DNA, little shred, and it's passed down, and now you exist as this person right now, the successor of an infinity or a near infinity of people who have mated before that. So just trust and allow that beauty to shine. Allow your real self to come out. That is where the beauty is.